All right, we kicked on live on Facebook now, so if people start joining us, we'll try to get you in here while we're live here.
Okay, now I'm on my Gmails.
Okay.
If you want me to move.
Hey guys, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. We're trying to get Bobby signed into Zoom here, so bear with us just a second. We're working on this, and you can witness two tech wizards at work. Okay, so.
You want me to just go straight to Facebook itself?
Nah, you won't be able to join it that way.
Okay,
let me go back to.
I'll just stay where I am then.
Let me just go back to the sent mail and.
If you star it, then I can, you know.
Yes. So Bobby, go to Zoom. Just go to open the Zoom. Go to like the Zoom app.
Wait a second. Zoom login or just Zoom meeting?
Zoom meeting.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to mute real quick so that I can give everybody I can give you the message, the number, right. And we don't have everybody in. So hold on just a second. Hey guys, we're still working on this. Sorry. We worked perfect yesterday, and I'm not quite sure what the hang up is today. So I'm sorry. Bear with us.
No.
Okay, so it'll say I just sent it just to the message for you, and it says Paul Knopfsinger is inviting you to a Zoom meeting, and it says topic Bobby, time February 21st, 2021.
Let me see that. It's got to be my notifications.
Yeah, it'll be on your messenger.
Yeah, I was on my messenger.
Okay. All right, guys, we're working on this. Leave it up to me to screw this up. All right.
Mine's splitting the screen into 3 different, segments. All right, wait a minute. Let me go down. Resource to help. Tools resource to help Bobby Liebling move forward. Stay connected with.
I don't know what I don't know what you're seeing. I just sent you a message that says Paul Knopfsinger is inviting you to a scheduled Zoom meeting on your Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, okay. Join meeting.
Join meeting.
Okay.
Click that.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens.
Okay. Now I've got the things like I had yesterday, and at the very bottom of it says join our cloud HD.
You know what? Maybe we just need to do this on your phone like we did yesterday. If you don't, I mean, because it worked yesterday.
Well, see, no, I got the bottom stuff that you sent me, the last thing you sent me.
Yeah.
Just now.
Okay.
And it says HTTP US 02 Web 2.
Yep.
Right.
So click on that link.
That says 259.
Yeah, that's when I sent it. So just click on it.
Okay. Now it says Zoom International Dial-in numbers.
Okay, don't do any of that. Just
Okay.
Just
Join a meeting.
join a meeting.
Okay. Join a meeting. Okay. Now the personal ID is.
Let me mute and I'll tell you the ID. All right, I think we're moving this way, guys.
Click Zoom, open Zoom meetings on the dialogue shown in your browser. If you don't see a dialogue, click launch. Oh, wait a minute. Enter meeting passcode again.
Okay, maybe I need a passcode. Let me.
Yeah, you must.
Meeting passcode. You ready, Bobby?
Yep. That's it?
Yep.
Okay, and then join meeting.
Join meeting. Hot damn, I hope this works.
It says connect.
Hey, look at this. Look at this. Holy shit, it's coming.
Okay.
I even took a shower today for this shit, Bobby.
Oh, so did I.
Nice. All right. Look at this. Look at this.
Join with computer audio.
Yep. And then click on your video down below.
Here we are. See? Hey there, bud.
Oh, perfect. All right, I'm going to hang up the phone.
Yeah, me too. Hi.
All right, now you got to click on the video thing so we can see you.
Okay, all right, let me see. Yeah, start video, okay.
Hey, touchdown. Look at that.
I see myself.
Oh, perfect. Oh, okay, thanks guys for sticking with us. We've got a whole slew of people watching, so thanks for sticking with us through the getting ready. And oh man,
can you see me okay on there?
I can see it perfect. Everybody see? Yep, it looks like everybody can see you and hear you. So Bobby, we're just running a few minutes late, but I can't thank you enough for coming on. This is a big deal to me. And I've had a couple people start off, and I've got to start with one question, and then we're going to get into all the stuff we talked about earlier. How in the fuck are you still alive? How have you made it this far? I mean, a weaker person would have died at 19.
Grace of God, man. Might sound corny, but that's hey, when the Lord gets ready, you got to move, and he ain't called yet.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, and I've rewatched the movie, and I've been preaching the word of Pentagram. So tell us what I mean. A lot of the folks on here have recently watched the movie. I think there's been, you know, a lot of folks have mentioned that they watched the movie. Kind of give us, before we get started into some of the specifics, kind of give us a, what's happened since the movie. The movie was 10 years ago, what, April, 10 years ago, this spring.
I don't know what month it came out. I can't even remember what month it came out, but it
I
came out in 2011, I think.
Yeah, this is my job, so I spend time on the internet looking at this shit. So,
all right.
So give us kind of an update on what you've been doing since. I want to make sure we talk about the limit, and I want to talk about, you know, a tour coming up and some other things. But kind of give us what's been happening with Bobby since the movie.
Okay, all right. What has happened since the movie is my whole career, really. I consider it to be, because the movie was like in the infancy of getting like exposed and known, you know, by people around the world and so forth and so on. Well, I mean, there were a lot of people who knew about the band, but excuse me, I wasn't really aware of it. And since the movie, you know, we've done numerous tours all over the world, you know, and played in about 30, 40 countries, and just kept on rolling, made albums, you know, through the whole thing in the interim. And the movie part was the bumpy stuff.
Yeah.
But once we got, let's see, after the movie, well, I got married at the end of the movie. I'm separated now, but I got married, had my little boy, and then we hit the road. It's just been a lot of traveling every year.
Are there still faults of, you know what, do you have your volume on your, do you have your Facebook open?
Yes.
Go ahead and close your Facebook down.
Oh, no, wait a minute. No.
Okay. Okay. Are there still volumes and volumes of unreleased Pentagram material from back in the day?
There are not volumes anymore since YouTube, you know, took over the world, so to speak, with Google and stuff. Everything's been put up there. There are some stuff that people haven't heard, you know, various different songs here and there, because there's been so many mishmash collections that have come out, you know, the low fidelity ones and stuff that are, you know, all the old things, and they've come out on various different companies and stuff like that. But YouTube has practically gotten a hold of everything. Somebody had the material somewhere, you know, sitting around on a cassette or whatever, you know, so they put them up there. It's very good.
You own the rights to that material, right?
Excuse me?
Do you still own the rights to that material?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know that was
there's still all the stuff I wrote.
Right. So I want to start kind of in your early days, and and kind of one of the questions people have asked is about your influences. And in the movie, your mom tells the story about, and I you know, and I don't know the people that know this, but your mother was a big part of your life, and she passed away recently. And so I want to make sure that you know that I've been thinking about you since I heard that. So
about a week ago.
Your mom mentions a story in the movie about you at 1.5, 2 years old, rocking out to a jukebox at a little deli you went to, and that she knew that there was something there that was that you were into music a little bit more than just in passing. So what was your musical upbringing? Where did you were your parents? I know your dad was a Department of Defense employee for.
Yeah, my dad was a big wig in the government. Yeah, right. My mom.
The president.
Yeah, and my mom, my dad was the Assistant Secretary of Defense. And my mother, that was a housewife my whole life, and right before I was born, she was a cocktail lounge singer.
Okay.
So that's where a lot of the music stuff probably came from, you know, and so forth. And my mom's dad, he taught 7 instruments.
Oh, wow.
And so forth, you know, and actually my dad was a comic MC when he was young, but when he used to wait tables in the Catskills.
You know, watching that movie, you can tell that your dad probably had a pretty good sense of humor. I mean, especially putting up with all your bullshit for so many years, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they put up with just a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine. There's a special place in heaven for your parents, I imagine. But so when did you decide that music was kind of your thing? Did you play bands? And I know, was your first band, was it Space Meat? Was that the name of your first band?
No, my first band was called the Shades of Darkness.
Shades of Darkness. Okay.
Yeah, and that was I started playing on stage 3 nights a week when I was 10 and a half, 11. Yeah, 1965. So I was 11 and a half, yeah.
And did you sing and play guitar in that band, or were you?
I didn't play guitar. I never played guitar on stage in my life.
Okay.
I've been playing guitar for, God, about 57, 58 years.
Awesome.
You know, guitar and bass, but on stage, I can't execute. I can't do them together. You know, I'm uncoordinated. I don't know.
During the pandemic, I decided to learn to play the guitar. So I've been taking lessons, and I've discovered that if buying guitars and reading about guitars and looking at guitars made you a guitar player, I would be the best guitar player in the world. But
yeah, tell me about that. Yeah, because I collected guitars right when I was younger, right? And at one time I had like 7 Melody Makers and 2 Les Pauls and a Strat, and you know, but they just sat around and I looked at them, you know, and strummed around. I mean, let's put it this way. I wrote all of my songs in my entire life on a $12 1962 Silvertone acoustic guitar from Sears.
cool.
Okay. Every single song I ever wrote was written on that guitar. And I collected guitars, but I didn't really get proficient at it, you know, ever. I mean, nowadays I can play a lot better than I used to. And I've got the idea now, you know, I mean, I know what to do. Obviously, you know, I've been doing it a long freaking time.
Right.
You know, so I've gotten the hang of it, you know, but my dexterity is the problem, man. I mean, from all the, you know, the abuse and stuff years ago, I mean, it's like arthritic hands, bad.
Well, while you're talking about your hands, I kind of want to mention that. In the movie, you talk a little bit. They talk a little bit about the infections you had in your hands and
the joke shop finger. Yes, my wife talks about the joke shop finger. Means on this finger, my wedding band, you know, wedding finger. I got an abscess right on the knuckle. Okay. And I mean, he's had all the abscess. You saw the movie, you know, people saw the movie, so I'm covered and I'm wide open and stuff. You know, I was like that for like 25 years. Yeah.
Well, what I want to talk about is the parasites, the idea that you had parasites. Was that was that psychosomatic? Was that a result of the drug abuse, or was that real?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's all I you know, I claim it was real because somebody doesn't get black blotches.
Right.
These little black blotches of dots just out of nowhere from shooting dope. You know, I mean, you might get sores and stuff like that, but you don't get these things that are like, you know, I mean, I had them all over me.
Right.
And so I really don't know.
Okay.
You know, it could have been some kind of infectious thing, you know, from.
But you're better now. It's gone. It's gone.
Oh yeah. I'm it's been closed up for, oh my God, 10 years. Yeah.
So back to the Shades of Darkness. Talk a little bit about when you decided to start, and what were the themes? I mean, this was what did you say? Year 1965 when you started playing Shades of Darkness?
Yeah, I started playing music because of the chicks.
Well, I mean,
and hey, no, I'm dead serious.
I don't doubt you, Bobby. I don't doubt that
hey,
one.
Everybody in 1964 when the Beatles came, every guy on the block was in a band. Everywhere in the whole world, you know, it's like, okay, I'm gonna play in a band too, you know, because when I saw Ed Sullivan, you see him throwing the bras and panties up there, it's like, I want to be that. This was my aspiration.
So were the Beatles your inspiration? I mean, was that your? It obviously wasn't your musical inspiration. I mean, you came in a little bit heavier than the Beatles, but what were kind of some of the bands that you listened to in the day that brought you to writing songs like the Ghoul?
I don't know about the Ghoul. I didn't write the music for the Ghoul, but my drummer Joe Hasselbander wrote the music for that. I remember he brought the song to the basement, and it was an instrumental. But he said, "This song's called the Ghoul." And when I hear that from somebody, it's like, "How do you know it's called the Ghoul? You're on your words."
Right.
You know? And so he said, "Well, I want it to be about a ghoul." So I started thinking, what's a ghoul, you know, about, you know, looked it up a little, you know, and that kind of stuff. So I wrote the words to that. But when I started writing, I always had a fancy for depressing, downer, bummed out kind of sounding bands. Okay, my biggest influence in writing, and I was just telling this to my buddy Wino from Obsessed. He was over here a couple of nights ago, right? And I was visiting, and I played him the band that I consider to this day to be my biggest influence on writing ever, 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 and that's the Bonnewell Music Machine, okay, or the Music Machine, as they're commonly know, right? They did Talk, 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 and People in Me, and they were just Sean Bonnewell was on a perpetual downer, desperately hopeless at every single moment of every note of every song. It was like the guy's just, please help me. And I like that because I love, first of all, I like sad stuff anyway. I like minor chord progressions and stuff like that, you know, sad songs. I for the most part, I'll say. And those strike me, you know, more in my soul. You know, they get in your craw. Right? A song that can make you, bring you to tears, you know. A lot of people say The Last Days Here is like that by us.
I want to find out.
Yeah.
Is everybody hearing that echo from me? I wonder where that's coming from. Is
I
everybody?
don't know. You're fading sometimes. I don't have anything open behind the Zoom meeting except Google, and I'm afraid. I mean, my home page behind this frame, and I'm afraid if I close the page, it'll cut you off. God damn, I don't know what to do with these.
No, let me try something here.
Oh, no,
Okay, maybe that'll work here. We'll keep going with this. So, so I want to talk about, you know, your themes. You mentioned.
Mind if I smoke?
No, please. You talked about the Music Machine being the kind of inspiration for your lyrics. Now, when you were writing some of these lyrics, there was not a lot of bands writing about ghouls and about paying for your sins and some of the you know, some of the darker. And I know we've talked about this off the air, but you hate the idea of doom metal. You hate that. You don't like that. But that, what better way to describe? I mean, you were kind of, I mean, you and Sabbath and maybe Molly Hatchet and some of those other bands were some of the only ones writing about that stuff.
I don't consider that to us, as far as Pentagram is concerned, I don't consider Pentagram a doom metal band at all. And I don't think I write doom metal, because the reason I can't stand doom metal in quotes as a subgenre like that, now everything is divided into nooks and crannies and God knows what, you know, which I can't stand anyway. You know, we play heavy hard rock. That's what I've always told people. And I used to like to call it downer rock.
Okay.
Right? Because it's just downtrodden. That doesn't mean it's doomed. It means it's it might have a helpless feeling, a despair, you know, a crying out, you know, a hurt, but not that it's doomed, because doomed means you're over with.
Okay.
Okay. And I don't play music that's over with. I play music to start at the beginning of it and get you through an idea, you know, that maybe I'll be doomed, but right now I'm just desperate and hurting and helpless, hopeless, you know. So it's just despair, a lot of that kind of stuff. The Music Machine were all that. The guy, I mean, their song titles are really astrologically incompatible. You know, Wrong, Trouble. These are the names of the songs. Right?
Okay.
Everything is bummer, completely. You know, and I loved the way they sounded, and I aspired to write like that. You know, the early stuff I wrote, I started writing songs when I was 11. Okay, and the first song I wrote was called Reverse Thoughts Plus. Okay, because I wanted to have these off the wall 13th floor elevators, Rocky Erickson type of names. I didn't want names like, you know, She's My Baby, or, you know, I'm Gonna Love You. You know, it was like, those were clichéic as hell to me, you know? So I wrote songs, Madman, When the Screams Come, you know, stuff that people hadn't heard for names, you know? I wanted really unusual song titles. All the songs, you know, the Music Machine Bottom of the Soul was another one. They have Double Yellow Line. They're like just off the wall, psychedelic, kind of. You know, they get the mind, you know, to churning and think, what is that about, man? You know, so I wrote Reverse Thoughts Plus and put the plus on there because that makes you go, Reverse Thoughts plus what? It makes
Right,
you
that was
yeah, I was 11 when I wrote that. And I wrote another one called Find Your Mind. Right? They're all acidy type of titles. I consider them to be, you know, titles that were like psychedelic. You know, I was into the 13th floor elevators a lot, and they have those type of titles always on their stuff too. You know, but I like, what are you searching for the echo? It's not under the desk, Paul. Now your volume's gone. Now I can't hear you. No. We're having a good time here, folks.
all right. So now I'm
Rolling
back.
along. Yes, you're back. Yes.
Christ, I tell you what.
Don't you love
So
modern
it's
technology?
well, okay. I think we're back. I think everybody can hear me. You can hear me now.
Yes, I
That
can hear you.
course. Okay. So from Shades of Darkness, you went into I'm going to get this right on one of them. Space Meat.
Well, I was in Shades of Darkness for 4.5 years, from 65
Okay.
till 69. There were short periods of time when I offshot and did a couple other bands too. I was in a band called Power at one time in 68, 9, somewhere around in there. And that was just guitar, bass, drums, and myself. And all we played all night was Canned Heat, Creedence, Johnny Winter, and Savoy Brown. All ripping heavy blues, right? And I played harmonica all night back then, right? Because I play harmonica, you know, and that was the band Power, but that only lasted like 6 months. And then finally, we called it the Shades of Darkness Limited at the very end, because bands did that kind of shit back then, right? Shades of Darkness Ltd. Yeah, slick title now. Yeah, you know. And when we broke up, I had moved the year before the Shades of Darkness broke up, and I was listening to bands like Blue Cheer and Hendrix and Cream and stuff like that, and a lot of psychedelic groups too. Bands people probably haven't heard of: the Savage Resurrection, Fever Tree, Beacon Street Union, Ultimate Spinach, Iron Butterfly, you know, and stuff like that. And yeah, you know, Chocolate Watch Band. I loved all those bands. You know, they were great. You know, it's like they were acid.
So
acid.
early on, who were some of the bands? Who were some of the bands you played with? Who were some of the when you were in all these multiple bands? Did you have opening acts for? I mean, were you just playing locals? Were you out on any
Local? Oh man, I didn't get a shot to play in any higher echelon, should we call it, which is, you know, a club with a rug in it instead of a bare floor. Right. You know, I didn't get a chance to do that until much later on. Bands we used to play with in the area, in the Washington, D.C., all we played was the Washington, D.C. tri-state area. Okay, Washington, D.C. And Virginia, Maryland. We used to play with bands like the Cherry People. And the Cherry People were Punky Meadows' band, the guitar player who joined and became Angel, big band Angel on Casablanca, you know. And people used to flock to see him. And we used to play with another really, really popular area band that was, I thought, the coolest band locally. They were called the Fallen Angels. All right. They were all downtrodden kind of stuff, you know. It's a hippie era type of thing, though, you know. Bands did stuff like Season the Witch, you know, and Eleanor Rigby type of songs, you know. And we played a lot with the Fallen Angels, and let's see, big bands. You'd have to be older, man. I mean, we played with the British Walkers, okay, who were a real big band. They had they did The Girl Can't Help It, and then their second single was Shake, which are covers, but you know, they made it up. And we played with the Telstars a lot. The Telstars were a really huge band out of DC. They all had like a 2-foot high pompadour, right? But they had hair down past their shoulders. And Telstars used to play at a really famous place called the Bayou in Washington. The Bayou later started having huge concerts and stuff like that. You know, I saw Kiss at the Bayou, and, you know, the Ramones at the Bayou, the Dictators at the Bayou.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about this here shortly, but we, you know, the Washington D.C. area is mostly known for kind of later the punk music coming out of there. You know, you got Minor Threat, and you've got the Bad Brains and that kind of stuff. And so you were, I mean, maybe they saw some of the stuff you were putting together, and that's where, you know, that kind of grew out of the.
Well, DC, let me get something real clear for people out there when they always going, yeah, that DC music scene. DC had the worst fucking music scene in the entire United States, always, hands down. If you're not in the military, right, or you're not in politics, DC had nothing to offer you back in the 60s. Nothing whatsoever. Bands couldn't get gigs. You could not play an original. God forbid you tried to get up on stage and slide one of your songs in there. It's like, out, bye. Can't dance to that. The kids don't know it. You know, so we played all covers back then.
Yeah.
You know, in the Shades of Darkness, you know. Well, it wasn't until Pentagram that when I met Jeff O'Keefe, the original, well, the founding member of Pentagram with me, him and I were super into Blue Cheer. And we said, I want to play something that's that savagely heavy and super wild, loud. I want to be the loudest fucking thing that's ever hit the earth. Back then, it was a status symbol. The louder you could get to play, the louder you could, you know, turn the volume up. Because bands couldn't afford big amps. So if you could get a Marshall back in the mid-late 60s, you were a big shot around town, man. It was like, that guy owns a Marshall. You know, now it's no big deal anymore. You know, I got mad at the guys in the band when we toured in 2019 because I said, you know what? We just don't have that force that we used to have. That, you know, I like pinning people against the wall. I like when the bass makes you vomit.
Yeah.
You know, I like it like that. You know, I'm a volume freak from way back. You know, I like the Detroit slam down sound of 68, man. That was where it was at, you know, MC5 and bands like that. Amboy Dukes, SRC, Frost, you know, Stooges.
Well, I'll talk about the Stooges real quick. You have a new band coming with an album coming out on April 9th called The Limit.
Yes.
And the is it which member of the band was from this? You're it's an all-star band. I mean, it has people from the history of your genre of music. I mean, it's got somebody from the Stooges. It's got we'll talk about it a little bit. I'll let you talk about it. You know more about it than I do.
It's more of a punk edged band than a rock band, but it's got the fusion of heavy rock in with it, and it's also got some guitar players on the album, guest guitar players. Like, we're kind of playing music, punk-ish music with a fuck you attitude, but it's got European flair guitar like Michael Schenker or something like that, you know, class, really, you know, classy European sounding leads and stuff like that, like what people, you know, call slingers and stuff like that, you know, which I didn't used to be into. Michael Schenker is one of my 2 favorite guitar players ever. And it's the band consists of Sonny Vincent, who's in a band called the Testers. And Sonny is he's a pioneer of the punk era, man. I mean, the Testers used to play practically every night at Max's Kansas City and CBGB's with all the early punk scene when it was first coming out, you know, in the early mid 70s, right? Sonny Vincent is on guitar and backing vocals, and Jimmy Recca, who was in the Stooges, and also Ron Ashton's New Order. That a lot of people haven't heard of Ron Ashton's New Order. They had 2 albums recorded real badly. They're classic, incredible albums, but they're punk edged type of stuff. And then there's two guys in the band that are from Portugal, where we recorded the album, and they're in a band called Dawn Rider, who are a hard, heavy rock band, real, heavy rock, more on the Pentagram-y type of. They don't sound like Pentagram, but it's heavy, hard rock. It's not punk. It doesn't have that attitude. I've always had this thing that's been my dream, because people see the way I dress on stage, right? We're all flamboyant shit and the blouses and the makeup and shit like that. It's still, a lot of times, and I like showing. I like, when you go to see a band, man, I want you to have something to look at. And I always had that screw off attitude too. I am brazen, just by nature, and I like that. I like when you shove the music up their ass. It's like, here, take this, and you really like it.
So you put out a single. There's a video online, and we'll see if we can get Erin to post it on the feed here. She's out there watching. Tell us a little bit about the first single that's out, and there's a video, and you'll have another single coming out next week, the 26th. Is that right?
The 26th will be the next video single.
Well, tell us about the first one.
Okay, yeah, I can only tell you about the first one because we got a non-disclosure thing in our contract, right? You know what that's about, right? And then the company wants to do the splash themselves, right? But we signed with a company called Smart from Finland, and they put out, they reissued about 5 or 6 different Pentagram albums and repressed them. And The Limit are, initially, we were just going to make it be a one-off side project thing. But when the video came out of Black Sea, it really got a lot of recognition. I mean, it's hell, there's been write-ups already in 40 or 50 online magazines about it. And we got, 50,000 views as of today already. It's been out less than a month.
I think I've watched probably 2,000 times.
Yeah?
I don't know. It's a great song. It's a great song. The new song, the first single, it's a great song. It very much has a Pentagram kind of evolved feel to it. I like it a lot.
It's dark.
Yeah.
It's a dark kind of feeling. It reminds me kind of a Lords of the New Church kind of thing, because it's got the darkness and kind of gloomy. But the single was picked by the record company to put out. They're doing 3 different singles pre-album release. The album won't be out till April 9th. And the album has, like I say, some different guest guitar players on the album. Besides Sonny and Hugo Conan, the other guitar player, the guy from Portugal, it has 3 other guest guitar players on there. It has a guy from Udo, from Germany, Udo, and he's my ace in the hole kind of guy. His name's Fabian D. Domrus, and he put the spice in the album that gave it a punch-up hard rock flair that he's on 7 songs or 8 songs in the album. The album has 12 songs. 9 of them were written by myself, and 7 were written by myself and Sonny, and 2 were written by Hugo and myself, and then 3 of them Sonny wrote alone. Sonny wrote Black Sea many years ago. Right, Sonny wrote the words and the music to Black Sea. The next thing that'll be coming out is more kick-ass, straight-up rock, but it's got guitar, bedazzling guitar, and it's a real good song. I hope people like it even better. It's got a great video. You'll see.
Well, Erin has posted a couple of links to where you can see the video, and she also posted the Limits Facebook page to where you can pre-order the album.
Yes, you can.
So
yeah, you can pre-order through Smart, or you can order it through Amazon also. And we're hoping that we're just about sold out of the first pressing and pre-orders, and that's what we're shooting for. Because as the thing evolved and it started cross-marketing, with the punk and the heavy metal audience, you know, because we kind of fused two styles. And a lot of punk stuff, the classic punk rock that I love has usually got really raunchy, crappy guitar playing, lead playing, right? And it's got some of that on the album. Like I adore James Williamson of the Stooges, Cheetah Chrome, Dead Boys, and they just slop it out, you know, and say, here, take that, you know, and they don't care. They're playing the wrong notes and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. It's the force and the attitude. But it's got also songs that have Michael Schenker, classy European type of leads. So it's a real fusion of stuff. And I'm really, really proud of it. It's the first full-length album that I've ever done besides Pentagram albums.
So the Pentagram is not gone. I mean, this is a side project.
No.
Pentagram will be back on the road in 2021.
Absolutely, yeah. Pentagram, we already have tours booked for August, September, October, and November. In August, we're in Europe. In September, we're doing our first South American tour. We go to about 9 or 10 countries in South America in 11 days.
Wow.
A lot of flying, yeah. And then October, November is Europe again and Scandinavia joined in with it because we always play Scandinavia. I love playing through Scandinavia. Yeah.
Well, Aaron has posted several links, so thank you for doing that, Aaron. And
I'm real enthused about this. I'm trying to right now. Pentagram is kind of on a hiatus because of the pandemic, is what started that. So we had all our 2020 gigs canceled, obviously, and they were rescheduled, you know. And we have a really great booking agency over in Europe that we've been with for. Well, Pentagram's been with the same European booker for 12, 13 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, Klaus at Vibra Agency, if I may.
Yeah, no.
He's like this to me, you know. He's just a great guy.
So
we even brought him to America when he wasn't booking us, just to come on a US tour with us to have fun.
Nice.
He's a great dude, man. Yeah.
I was not expecting you to have such a vast knowledge of punk music. That really makes me happy because that's kind of my and I guess I should have known in the video you're doing a practice and you're wearing a Danzig, or is it a Sam Hain sweatshirt? And I'm a Danzig nerd, back from the Misfits to Sam Hain to the Danzig. So I want to talk a little bit about what influenced some of that kind of horror punk. You know, you mentioned the Ramones.
I like the Ramones, the Saints. I love the Saints, the Drones, the Vibrators, Dead Boys.
Yeah.
The classic punk, the Damned.
The Damned. I had a chance to see the Damned. I had a chance to see the Damned on their 30th anniversary tour, and they're unbelievable. They're unbelievable. So, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention for Erin and all the work she's doing out there for me. She's a publicist extraordinaire. She's awesome, but she also has a book out on the Cramps. Erin has a book that she's written and put together on the Cramps. So I don't know if you have any words about the Cramps.
I'm not into the Cramps myself, just not my cup of tea, but you know, I respect it, of course. It came out of that original, you know, set of bands, you know, that were doing punk stuff, you know, Sex Pistols, Ramones era.
Right. So when you're watching music today and you're seeing live music and you know, in the movie there's a scene where you're sitting with Phil Anselmo, and Phil is a huge fan. I mean, you can tell by the way he's talking to that, you know, that I think he mentions that they wouldn't exist if it had not been for Pentagram. What bands? I know you gave the thumbs down, so I take that. I can pretty much telecast the answer on this. But are there bands out there today that you can see the Pentagram and the influence in? I mean, is there anything out there that's worth a shit in the genre that you developed?
Okay, I don't listen to the music of now virtually at all. All the bands I listen to are 68 to 74 era.
Okay.
Almost completely, you know, or in that vein, you know, and they're all hard rock bands, real heavy hard rock bands. The punk bands I just mentioned are my ones that are special to me, right, because they had something real stand out about them, right? But I never I never really listened to a lot of punk stuff until the mid 70s, late 70s, when it really caught on. Now, Testers, right? Sonny Vincent's band, they played shows with, Sonny has had every person I can think of in the punk world in his different bands, because he's done about 26, 28 albums. All right. Sonny didn't get to the echelon that a lot of the bands from that era did. People don't know the Testers a lot, and a lot of people haven't heard of Sonny. I mean, he's got a huge following still, but not like the Ramones or something like that, because he had the ideology of, I'm not going to do what the record company wants me to do. And they told him, look, we love all your songs, but if you could just make them a little tiny bit more radio friendly, then we'll really pump it into you, right? Well, Sonny went home and he took out a paper lunch bag, and he wrote a note to the record company and went back and tossed the paper bag on the guy's desk. It says, I'm not, screw you. I don't want the contract.
Yeah.
And now he played with bands like Television. He's in Sonny's bands. He has had Glenn Matlock, Wayne Kramer, Cheetah Chrome, Brian James, Walter Lure, all, you name it. I mean, if they're punk,
Right. Well, Wayne Kramer was the MC5, right? I mean, that was a huge deal. The MC5 was a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's had them all in his band.
So
years.
Let's
Scott Ashton. He's had Scott Ashton and Ron from the Stooges. He's had Cheetah from Dead Boys. He's had all of those people had been in Sonny's band through the years. There's not anybody I can think of. The guys from Television have been in there. One of the guitar player Talking Heads was in his band, and all the bands. He goes by Sonny Vincent and whatever, right? So he never kept a constant, stable lineup for very long. But he's had everybody. When I looked on there's an album called Anthology, Sonny Vincent Anthology, and it's a double album. When I looked at the people on the back of the album who have played with Sonny, my jaw hit the floor. I could not believe it. Everybody, the Dee Dee and Joey Ramone, everybody's been in Sonny's band before. And he went through that early Max's Kansas City CBGB's scene, and really rode the wave back then. He's lived in like 10 countries, and he's a nomad and traveled all over the world, doing these small dingy clubs and stuff like that, like a lot of those bands did. And he always had, predominantly the recordings are lo-fi, like a lot of punk stuff was. It doesn't have real fine production or fine tuning, stuff like that. And I think The Limit is probably the first thing that Sonny's done, and that where we've got finery to the sound, nowadays technology, mixing and stuff like that, but we still kept the basics. We wanted to keep that attitude, that fuck you attitude, and Sonny's he's a gem to work with. The guy, he's a businessman for one. He does all of the stuff like he knows Hollywood people who have helped us with post-production on the video and film editors, and he knows people who sculpt and paint and all these famous people, through the underground scene. He played with he was in a band for 9 years with Sterling Morrison and Maureen Tucker from the Velvet Underground.
Wow.
Right? He toured for 9 years in Maureen's band.
Right.
So
Well, that sounds like, and he helped write this album, and he's a big part of this upcoming album. And is there going to be, so you hinted that there may be another Limit album in the works.
We're hoping that the album will sell well enough that the company will have to have us on their roster and need us to an extreme, and then we can negotiate, and kind of, I mean, everybody wants to write their own meal ticket eventually. Right? I've never gotten to do it. I mean, I don't know where Google gets their information. They say that I'm worth all this, Bobby Liebling, this rock star, is worth $300,000. If I had $3,000, I'd eat it. I mean, it's like, God damn, I don't know where they're getting their info from, but I've made considerable amount of money. But like Leslie West said, my favorite line in the history of music, they said, where's all the money, Leslie? And he said, well, let's see. I spent it all on drugs and women, and I blew all the rest.
We have a question from Michael Boyer, and Michael asks if there's a way to pre-order the album in the U.S. and it's available on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon in the U.S. or from the record company. I ordered mine before it came on Amazon, so I'll be getting mine shipped from overseas. But I got the blue vinyl. So
right. Yeah, there's blue vinyl, splatter vinyl, and black vinyl, and then it's on all the formats. It's on LP, CD, and digital. And it's distributed worldwide by Orchard, which is Sony Red. So we lucked out, and in 2020 especially, to get a contract with an advance too, and so forth. So we're hoping it'll sell well enough that the next go round we can say we'd like to record it in a real fine situation, that's a lot more comfy, because we had a lot of bumps in the road doing the album. I mean, it was a real circus going over to Portugal to record.
I was just going to mention to folks that if they have any questions, to post them and we'll ask them. And we got one. Wants to know to describe the recording process of Sub Basement.
Oh, okay. Sub Basement is a 2-people album. It's me and Joe Hasselbander, Pentagram, right? And Hans Hasselbander. Joe's also been in Savoy Brown, Blue Cheer, Raven, big bands. But we recorded that at a place called Polar Bear Laird, which is a buddy of ours, dear friend of ours, Chris Kozlowski. And we recorded it at his studio, which was in his house. He owns this big old house. It was built in 1790, right? And he made the second floor of the house into a recording studio. Sub Basement was done over the course of 1 month. And since Joe played everything, all the instruments on it, right? I just sang, right? And we co-wrote some of the stuff, and a lot of it I wrote alone. But Sub Basement was done in like stages, like you had to do. First you lay down a rhythm guitar, then Joe would go back. He'd play the rhythm thing all the way through of the song. Then he'd go back and play the drums to the rhythm guitar. Then he'd erase the rhythm guitar because it was a scratch track. And then we'd build from there. He'd go back in and lay a proper rhythm, and then another and another and another. Sub Basement is packed up with guitars and bass guitar. Some of the songs had 3 or 4 bass guitars. Some of them had 20 plus guitars in the songs, and it was a lot of fun. We were kind of out of it, maybe. Yeah, we were indulging a lot, overindulging a lot. So Joe would go up and he'd spend 8 or 10 hours with Chris in the studio while I would lay on the credenza, passed out on the back porch, and not even be in there. And then, because I'd be too fucked up. And then Joe would finish and he'd come down and wake me up, shake me, the drugs would fall all over the floor, right? And then we'd switch places and I'd go up and sing all evening. And, because I did all the backup harmonies and stuff like that. I always like to do the backup vocals on albums myself, because I think nobody blends with their own voice better than your own voice. Nevertheless, I've come to find in doing the limit thing that sometimes the spice can be the fact of 2 different people's tones, i.e. the Beatles, right? If John did all the harmony with himself, it would have nowhere near that tonal blend right? Like the, Lennon McCartney sound and stuff like that, So in the Limit thing, Sonny did backup vocals with me in the songs, and it came out really good. Sonny has a knack for writing hooks, and there's a lot of songs on the Limit album that I really love because they have a part that you can actually remember, that goes through your head over and over and over again after you get used to the song. And a lot of the songs on there are like that. It's almost, there are a few that are almost over the top radio friendly. There's a couple of them that could be hit singles actually on there. And but Sub Basement, back to Sub Basement, we recorded it over the course of a month. We would record for a few days. Joe was living in New York at the time, and we recorded in Maryland. And he would drive up and back from New York every 3 or 4 days, and we piecemeal more and more of it together, And it came out. It's a fluke. Sub Basement is a real fluke because it's my favorite Pentagram album.
Well, that was what is your opus? What is the album or the song that you want to be remembered for?
No question, the album Sub Basement. And my favorite song that I've ever written myself, that where I wrote the music and the words, because people always ask, they say, "Oh, I love that song, so and so. When did you write that?" And being a musician, I'm always looking at the writer credits on albums. That's one of the first things I look at. I want to know who the fuck wrote the song. And people will say to me, "I love this song. When did you write it?" And it's something that Victor wrote. Right? And I don't understand how people, don't want to look into it a little bit more. I mean, if you love music, I think you want to know who wrote the music, or whatever. Songs that have just my name, I wrote all the music and the lyrics. Songs that have 2 names are co-written. And sometimes I just write lyrics. Like on the Limit album, I just wrote lyrics for the 9 that I, participated in writing. But it's also kind of a thing where, since we had to come back and the pandemic hit, the album wasn't finished in Portugal. So we got back and we didn't have the lead breaks put on the album yet and didn't have it mixed. So we came back with bare bones, raw mix stuff, and didn't have all the guitar stuff added on. And Sonny knows that I love Michael Schenker. Okay, that's one of my heroes. And Sonny had toured with this guy, D, who's now in Udo. And Sonny was thinking, well, I want Bobby to really like the sounds of the lead playing, because I'm into lead playing like crazy, obviously. I've had some lead players that are motherfuckers through the years, right? Vince McAllister, the original guitar player Pentagram, was unreal. But he called up this guy, D, who had gone and done a Sonny Vincent tour once upon a time for 12 weeks through Europe, and was the other guitar player in Sonny's band. But he was playing more kind of raunch stuff, punk stuff. And Sonny said, well, Bobby will like this guy, I think, because he has this Schenker type of feel and finesse. So he called the guy up, and it was, sure, I'd love to. And he added his little parts in there. Then we had to, by remote, we had to have our co-producer engineer, who's incredible, Paulo Vieira is his name, from Portugal. He had to send us the files, by computer, by remote. And Sonny and I would go up and back, throwing ideas of production and, what we wanted, levels and that kind of stuff, and iron them out, then send it back to Paulo. So each song went through 3 additional stages, after the basic stuff was done. And again, like Sub Basement, it came out just, I'm shocked at how it came out. Man, if you just seen the way, when we recorded the fucking thing, we recorded in the guy's house in his attic, And the attic was so small that you had to climb up a ladder to get into the studio, straight up. I mean, no tilt or anything. It was scary. And then you get in there and you hit your head on the ceiling. And he had one little teeny weeny room that was like 10 by 12. That was the recording studio. And he brought in this mobile board, and we lucked out, man. I mean, when we got to Portugal, none of the 5 of us had ever played together in our life.
Wow.
Whatsoever. Okay. And we weren't real familiar with each other's playing. You know, I love Sonny stuff, and I had known Jimmy Recca, the bass player, from previous years, and a buddy of ours in New York. Jimmy lived at his house for a while. I lived at his house for a while. The guy's like a son to me, and he lives in Brooklyn. He turned me on to Sonny Vincent in 2015, and I right away fell in love with stuff, because Sonny writes some really hook stuff, some really good stuff. So we decided, let's kind of mesh and see what we can do. And Sonny knew these 2 guys in Portugal, right? I'd never heard of them or anything like that. And he said, real nice guys, and they can do the job, and da 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 da. So it took us like 6 months of Sonny sending me just rhythm, bass, and drums tracks that were like, most of them were real fast, and I had to write words, which I wrote a book full of bunches of words, but didn't fit them to any of the music at all. Just had words, right, that didn't fit with anything. And I had to tell them, well, I think this one should be slowed down, this, you know, so forth, so on. Sonny sent me 29 songs. We were only going to use 15 tentatively, and we ended up at 12. They had to be like all readjusted and everything. And when we got to Portugal, since we'd never ever played together whatsoever, we had 3 4-hour rehearsals to learn the whole album. Okay. And we had no idea what words were going to go in what music. We had no idea how we were going to arrange the stuff or what it was going to sound like together. And it was real heavy, man. I've never felt so much pressure in my life. It was a fiasco.
You're super excited about how the project came out, and it's
yeah, I'm proud of it. I really am. It's got
I
that.
let you get away from I let you get away from the original question. You said Sub Basement was the album you're the most proud of, but the song that is yours, that you've written, what is the song that you want as your what is your legacy to rock and roll?
Out of Luck, it's called, and
Okay.
it's on Sub Basement.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my favorite song I've ever written, because it has 29 different changes in it. It's 4 minutes and change, but it's got all these a million parts. But it's not progressive rock, where progressive rock tends to look how many parts we can all play that are all, to me, a lot of it has no feeling at all. It's just generic. Look at the rudiments. We can all follow each other perfectly, but there's no soul to it. When I wrote Out of Luck, I wanted to have that, again, the darkness and, a hopeless feeling. And it has a good flow to it. It's a real good song. I'm proud of that. A lot of songs that I've written, they grew on me because of people, making them popular in their hearts and stuff like that. Like when Pentagram go out now, we have to play Pentagram's greatest hits. We don't have any hits, but you know what I mean. It's the same song list. We've been playing it. We played in 19. We're going to play it again in 21, because every night you got a different audience, people who have never heard you do them live and stuff like that. So we do Song of the Wolf, Relentless, Forever My Queen, When the Screams Come, $20 Spin, the same ones, Be Forewarned, all that. And
well, let me my songs, the ones that I love. Last Days Here, I think that is an amazing song. I think that is a really, really powerful song. I also Spirit of the Wolf is the beginning of that just hits you. I mean, that just hits you. And then of course, you know, Forever Your Queen, which my friend Zeke Powers mentioned that when he was young, he was looking for a Queen album, and somebody got him the single for Forever Your Queen, and or
Forever
Forever
My Queen was never a single.
Oh, okay. Then maybe they made a recording of it for him or something. Maybe they recorded it
Probably.
for him.
Well, it was our first. The song "Forever My Queen." Okay, all the stuff on First Days Here album, on Relapse, is all demo tapes.
Okay.
It was never intended to be released whatsoever, and I didn't want it released.
Oh, really?
Not at all. No, it became our probably one of our best-selling, albums and biggest well-known albums. But I didn't want any of the stuff done because it wasn't fined over and polished to a T, and all that kind of stuff. I'm a lot perfectionist when I go in the studio. I don't like it to have the, well, it's good, but it's raw. It's got some rough edges. I don't want the rough edges. Let's smooth them out. And Forever My Queen is rough as hell. If you listen to it, Vincent's lead playing's rough. It's fantastic, and I understand why and all that, but I would have it be different. It just reminds others. I like stuff, that's really fine tuned. That's all. Sub Basement is like that. Sub Basement has just it was a fluke. It came out with so much finesse, and it's packed with guitar stuff, guitar harmonies, and all these changes. I love the material on Sub Basement. I don't think it has any bad songs on it. It's one album that I think really stands out of Pentagram, and I'll always feel that way. It just came out like it did. We don't know really why. All the tones are beautiful, everything like that. The blend, the production, it's not high dollar production, but it's got that feeling, and it's dark. It's very fucking demented.
Yeah.
Very sicko. It's got a lot of sick sounding shit on there, and I like that.
And that's been reissued as well. People can find that.
Yeah. Sub Basement's been reissued. That and Review Choices were both reissued together. First, they were the original ones were on Black Widow from Italy, and then they were re-released by Seasons of Mist, and now they both came out recently on picture discs from Smart, the company assigned to Limit, and Smart, like I say, Smart has reissued 6 different Pentagram albums: the Be Forewarned album, the Day of Reckoning album, Sub Basement, Show 'Em How is coming out when the Limit album comes out. Show 'Em How, they wanted to reissue that because it was never got into the popular thing like a lot of Pentagram albums did. It's kind of sleeper. And Spark put out a new cover on it in 2012, released only 1,000 copies. And since then, you can't get the album anywhere and never could. So a few months ago, they said, we want to do another, issue of Show 'Em How. So that's what's coming out also it's on the pre-order list also. And I don't think Sonny and I spoke a lot about this. We kind of got in a little battle for a little bit about one detracting from the other in sales and popularity, because if you're running two horses in a race, right, it's kind of sometimes they offset each other and you don't get that pump, as if you had focus on one thing. But it was sort of like Pentagram are something that a lot of people say, oh, Pentagram's Bobby Liebling. Nope, it is not Bobby Liebling. Pentagram is a band, and you can't have a band unless you have bound people. That's what band means, and it takes all the cooks to make the broth to me. So I don't like when people equate, just because I own the name and I'm the mainstay that's been there through all the years, and the predominant writer and all that kind of stuff and so forth, and the front man, I still I couldn't do this stuff without my, troops. You know what am I gonna do? Stand up there and be the little monkey with the bass drum and the harmonica in his mouth? That ain't shit. You gotta have your army. I always thought of it like that. The foot soldiers are the other people in the band, the amps or the artillery, tanks. So it's what it is.
Well, real quick, I'm going to beat up a little bit for misstating the titles of the songs. So I apologize for I've got all my notes here, and we got off track a little bit. So I apologize for.
It's no problem, man. And Sign of the Wolf, right? Sign of the Wolf was mentioned.
Right.
Okay, Sign of the Wolf became one of the most popular Pentagram songs ever. And I wrote Sign of the Wolf with no instrument. I wrote it when they were cutting my finger off, taking my knuckle out, and putting my finger back on with microsurgery. And I had to lay in one position for 9 weeks and could not move whatsoever, right? While they put my finger back on. And I wrote Sign of the Wolf in a hospital bed, just in my head. And then waited until I got out of the hospital, and I knew what it was going to sound like in my head. Just like right now, I have a whole brand new songs Pentagram album written, but I've never heard a note of it on an instrument. But I know exactly how it's going to go, from A to Z, all the words, all the parts, the bass parts, guitar harmonies, the beats, everything. It's just I've always, I pride myself on that.
Well, I'm going to jump ship a little bit on that. I want to talk to some people had messaged me this question earlier in the week, and so I did some research on it. And you had mentioned earlier that Google has most things about you wrong. So I'm going to ask some clarification on the Kiss incident. I read one article where they were. It was an interview. I don't remember who. It may not. I don't believe it was with you. That Kiss was coming to buy some songs from you. That was one of the things, that they wanted to buy some songs. Another place said that they were looking to take you on the tour that ended up where they were taking Rush. And then the movie says that they were just interested in hearing you and putting an album together. Is that? Can you kind of just talk us through the Kiss situation if you don't mind?
Our managers at the time when we got to meet Kiss, right? One of our managers was a rock writer for Rolling Stone, right? And he wrote the first national review of the first Kiss album ever anywhere, right? So they kind of owed him a, one hand wash the other kind of thing. And he had gotten to meet them and stuff like this because of it. And Kiss came down to actually when they were here, they had come to audition Angel for Casablanca, and it didn't sit right with them. They didn't like it. And he said, well, can you come over and meet my guys? I manage this band, blah 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 blah. And the real story is Gene and Paul were the two that came over to see us practice in the basement, like in the movie. Okay, that's reenactment. But they didn't like it, like it says in the movie. I had bad skin, bass player bad skin. We didn't have any stage act, but we're in a fucking little basement crammed in. So I never really got the gist of that whole thing, except, yes, they did adore Star Lady and Hurricane, and were interested in possibly purchasing them, but the songs would have said written by Stanley and Simmons. No, thank you. Don't want it. And so they didn't like what they saw, though, visually. Obviously Kiss are a show band, man. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, they're great musicians to me. I always loved Kiss, but they just didn't like what they saw. They liked the material, though. That's for damn sure. And they talked about buying stuff. And then when they saw the band, didn't like the way the band looked. It was like, I don't know, we'll pass. Because Kiss were like so close with Neil Bogart from Casablanca, who formed Casablanca. They were in each other's pocket. It was like whatever Neil liked, Kiss would scout And whatever Kiss liked, Neil would scout for each other, you know, to build the label. The label was in its infancy. Kiss, the first band on the label, you know, and they were interested in us. You know, they liked us a whole lot, but musically, you know, and I don't understand that kind of stuff really, because when you go see somebody in the movie, it says, oh, and Greg and Vince were cleaning toilets and and if I were them, I would give somebody $25 to go buy a peanut butter sandwich and blah, 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 blah. That's just small talk bullshit to me. Right. It's like, it worked. So what's wrong with that?
So on that, is Pellet still part of the organization? Do you still talk with him? I mean, he started off the movie as a huge fan, and I mean, and his goal, I think, was to get you back on your feet. And I, you know, in watching the movie, you automatically fall in love with that guy because of his passion and his and granted, he was part of the movie, so I don't know the whole story, but he seemed to really care about you. He seemed to really care about you and the music. Is that, are you guys still pals? Are you still associated?
We still associate. Pellet was instrumental in somewhat in the Smart Limit deal, and he also got the re-release of Show 'Em How signed to them. And there's also another thing coming out that I was all fucked up in 2004, and a buddy of mine, Dave Sherman, who's in a band called Earth Ride, him and I did something that we called Bobby Liebling's Ram Family. I plead the fifth, right? And what it is a drum machine, and Dave and I fucking around, smoking crack and doing drugs like crazy in my basement here, right? And he had a little tiny machine, and we just recorded everything cold on the first take. There's no rehearsals. There was no words written. I sang them as whatever I sang is what's on the tapes, right? And Smart also just purchased that to actually have an official release of it later on this year.
Well, I want to say I looked you up on eBay, and I think there is a Ram Family CD. There is Bobby Liebling's Ram Family Plead the Fifth, super rare. There's a CD on
$66.
$666. Yep.
I have a picture of that on my phone. I almost shit. It was like, are they nuts? Who's gonna pay it? Come on, man. It was just fooling around tapes, and you know, it's got some neat stuff on it. Dave played all the bass and most of the rhythm guitars. I played some bass and some of the lead guitar, and I sang everything cold. Like I say, it was just like turn on the machine, the music started playing, and I just make words up as I went along, and it's a drum machine.
Well, nobody buy this one on Facebook or on eBay. Wait till it comes out. It's going to come out. If you're going to buy it. Don't pay this ridiculousness on Facebook.
Yeah, it's going to come out, and it's going to be called. It's called Bobby Liebling, Dave Sherman, Night Owl, which is one of the songs on there.
Okay.
Right, and that's what it's going to be called when it does come out. Right, and then somebody's designing a real cover for it. I love the little cover that they got in the one in the picture there, though. That cover on the original I Plead the Fifth was made by my wife when we first got married. We made 50 copies only of I Plead the Fifth. They're all CDRs, right? And we just ran them off at our house in Ridley Park in Pennsylvania. She drew the cover and, you know, stamped, you know, copied a bunch of them, and we put it together, and then we sold them mail order only. There were 50 of them. We sold them for $50 a piece. And if you got one of the albums that had, and that one in the picture that you're talking about had the $5 bill mock up inside, and instead of Lincoln, it says Liebling, and it's got my picture in the middle of it, right? If you got one of those that had the bill inside it, then you got VIP backstage free at any Pentagram concert anywhere in the world, right? And it was just a little shtick we did, you know, just to have fun. So it became a cult thing.
So one of the other things, and you mentioned her earlier, and we can get into it as deep as you'd like to. One of the other things that people have asked me about this week and leading up to this is Haley, and her role in getting you kind of clean and putting out, you know, new Pentagram. I mean, she was in and out throughout the movie, but at the very end of the movie, when it seemed like it was a good relationship for both of you. I don't want to, I'm going to let you drive on this conversation, but I know that people are wondering, because a lot of people, the only thing they know about you is what the movie, So if you want to talk a little bit about that and what your son and what you can talk about there.
Sure. Well, I don't have anything to hide. It's like when they made the movie, I told them, okay, you can film me, but I don't want you to cover up or candy coat anything. I want it just documented grit, just show what it is, or you're not showing it. Hallie and I got married at the end of the movie, and we had our son. He's very autistic, and he is in custody of my mother-in-law currently. Totally. Hallie has substance problem, and we have been separated now for 8.5 years. We were together and married for 5, and we still talk a couple of times a week. We're dear friends. I love her and she loves me because we had a child together and we had a love. I mean, when you love somebody, I don't think you can fall out of love, but you still love the person especially if you've had a kid with them. And I mean, I love Hallie. Yeah, and Hallie and I are still legally married. So, you can take it for what it's worth, right? When Hallie and I split up, we split up because in 2013, when we split, we had started using together. When I met Hallie, she was 100% straight. And when she started using was during a year that we were totally apart and not speaking at all. And when we got back together again, she was in the same boat that I had been in for most of my life, right? I think my mother-in-law, she could never stand me. Obviously,
I know about that as well.
I think the reasons are very obvious. Come on, I robbed the cradle, and I took her little girl from her. And, when Hallie was 21, I was 54.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Hallie in April, Hallie be 35. I'm 67, So it's kind of one of those things, where the mom's not going to like the guy who's a dope fiend, rock and roll bum, in quotes. And, but we fell in love, and it was a real true love. She's loving my life.
Well, I hope for her sake, for your son's sake, and for your sake, she can work it out and
I pray to God for that every
road.
night. I do, yeah, because there's a reason that neither of us have ever filed for divorce, and I think that's kind of a human nature thing. You always want to keep that tiny, even infinitesimal, small thing of what humans only have, and that's hope. Maybe, who knows? It's not going to happen, right? And we're dear friends, though, and we care about our little boy Bobby, ever so much. He's very well taken care of. My mother-in-law, even though I can't stand her ass, she has special schooling for him, and tutoring, and all this kind of. He needs a lot of attention.
And how is he? 10 now? 11?
He's 10.
Okay.
11 in August.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, when he was born, I remember I watched him being born, right? And I was standing there and freaking out. And then the next day, when he was in the NICU, right, in nursery unit, whatever it is, there's this doctor, and he comes up and he goes, right away, I don't know how he judged like this. He goes, well, we've given a scan to your child, and he's going to be a vegetable forever. Those words. She fainted, right, into my arms, because, I mean, who says something like that? That's not very ethical practice, Hey, your kid's going to be a vegetable. He's a day old, right? and he's brilliant. Autistic kids they're known for, they got a lot of smarts. They just,
Well, and this is something I haven't shared online before. With when we were having my now 14-year-old, we were told that you want to talk about bedside manner? We were told that our daughter would never leave the hospital, that she wouldn't have any of her five senses. And now my kid is awesome. She's a junior in high school, or I'm sorry, a freshman in high school, and she's getting great grades and she's super smart. But the doctor said, your kid will never leave the hospital. That's exactly what
at birth, right?
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
tiny little,
Yep.
this big.
Yep. And now my kid is smarter than I am. So
yeah, he is really brilliant. He just has his own way of doing things.
That's right. Right. Good.
They're in their own little funnel world, man, and you can't figure it out a lot of times. But after you're around them for a while, they're loving kids and they're smart kids. And
so we're at about the 90-minute mark, and if anybody has any questions pop up, I got a few more, and then we'll let you get back to your Sunday evening. But if you guys have any questions for Bobby or anything, all the links for all the stuff coming up is posted. When the new single comes out, I'll post a link. I'm
sorry, my Sunday evening. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Boom, boom, boom.
Okay, well.
My Sunday evening's my Wednesday evening, which is my Friday, Tuesday, Thursday.
Oh, perfect. So
Saturday night I eat pizza.
There you go.
Cold.
Well, and I before we get to some of the other ones, I just want to say next week on the show, I have the great Ludini, who, if you've ever seen a mystery collection show, you know all about Lou. Lou is one of my heroes and my mentor, and everything I do in my show has been run by Lou. March 7th, I have Lothar Malberg. We're going to have a little, I don't want to say a debate because it's going to be a discussion. He and I are both magicians, and he is also an evangelical Christian. And we're going to talk about the role of faith in the paranormal and in ghosts and in supernatural. And then on March 21st, I have Sandy Johnson. Sandy Johnson played in the 1978 original Halloween. She was Judith Myers. She was the first person killed by Michael Myers. And also she was the 1974 Playmate of the Year. And that is worth looking at. That is worth a Google search on.
I'll watch that.
And so we have a couple questions real quick. Can we expect any live Pentagram releases anytime in the future, video and or CD vinyl?
What we're hoping to do is, since we can get back to touring this year with God's help, and I think we will. I think that the numbers are going down drastically and stuff like that. And as long as I get my shot too, drop dead, then so I'm a high risk. I got COPD bad, but probably at the end of this year, we're gonna. If you want my say, or do you want? No votes here. I mean, come on. I'm not being objective in this, but I'd like to have a live Pentagram album that's recorded on locations on the tours this year for the end of the year, and then at least one more studio album. I'm hell bent on that. These are like my future notes, of what must happen, and to fulfill my self-prophecy. I want to do another studio Pentagram album and one more really good live one. I mean, we have Matt Goldsboro, a guitar player, has never been on a Pentagram recording before. He was in the band in 13 and in 15 when Victor was in and out, and he's never been on a record except one song, and that's the Pentagram Before War in 2019 redone studio version, which is only for streaming and download. It's online and it's on all the streaming services and stuff, and that's going to come out also probably in April or May as a limited 7-inch on Record Collector Day. Yeah, and we recorded that at our own place we practice at and mixed and produced ourselves, and I think we did a damn good job. It's the first thing with Matt on guitar though, so I'd like to do a live album and let Matt get to shine, you know, and so forth. And that's really Pentagram's future, you know. Well, if I'm alive, then Pentagram's still happening.
So two people have asked about the song Yes I Do. Will it be on the next album?
I venture to say probably not. It's never been officially on, you know, studio recording. I think it's on First Days Here too, on the stuff we recorded with 2 plastic mics and a 7-inch reel-to-reel tape recorder. But I don't think it will be, because there's too much new stuff that I got in my head. And also Matt writes stuff and Greg writes stuff. And Pete, our drummer, has a solo album coming out next month, where he built a recording studio during the pandemic in his basement and plays everything on the album, all the guitars, bass, drums, vocals, and every bit of it, produced it himself, engineered it himself. And he's really talented dude, man. Minnesota Pete. Yeah, I love the guy. You know, he left the band in 19 because he had some issues, some medical issues, and he's back on board though, definitely.
Good. A couple other quick questions. I think we talked about this a little bit, but Kevin wants to know, how did the Limit project come to be? I think we talked a lot about the Limit, but I don't know if we talked about how you guys got hooked up together.
Well, the friend that knew Sonny and had driven for a few Sonny's tours, had been his tour manager, turned me on to Sonny, and I fell in love with the music. And Jimmy and I had known each other previously. This guy always wanted Jimmy to get to do something, because Jimmy never got his day in the sun. When he was in the Stooges, he was in between Funhouse and Raw Power. So he's never on a Stooges album. Okay, he's only on a couple of bootlegs, Live at the Electric Circus and things like that that are not recorded well. So anyway, our buddy Danny, he wanted to put us, you know, in touch with each other, and thought that it would be neat. You know, we're older veteran musicians. We know what the fuck we're doing. And, you know, and oh my God, battery running low, close this thing. Is that on your screen? Does that show?
No, I'm not seeing it.
Good. Okay.
So we'll wrap up by just a couple quick questions. And then David asks if you think you will ever reunite with Victor Griffin to do a Pentagram with him, or are you two finished?
I don't think Victor and I will record or play together anymore. I love Victor like flesh and blood. We were together for tens of years, and we're very close still. He was the first guy to call when my mom passed away, about a half hour after she did. And Victor and I will always remain, you know, blood brothers, but we have a different outlook on life, I think, where it's just not conducive to touring in a rock band together.
Okay.
That's all I'll really leave it at.
It's nice that you can separate that and still be friends, you know, and not force it and ruin a.
Well, I love Victor. It's like, you know, hey, Victor has his beliefs. I have my beliefs in things. I just, no. And that's like that.
Okay, well, perfect.
Yeah, best way to leave, because I love Victor.
We talked earlier about that. The movie was 10 years ago this spring, and so what does life have in store for Bobby, for Pentagram in the next 10 years? What will people be looking back and saying, you know, oh, that movie was 20 years ago? What in your mind, what do you want for the next 10 years?
I think to own Mallorca, the island of Mallorca. And,
all right.
Yeah, and to have a few harems.
Okay.
No, I seriously, I want to keep playing music. I'll rock till I drop, man. This is what I was put here to do. It's all I know how to do. It's all I've ever done. You know, my life has been sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And even though, you know, the getting high had to go because of health and age coming on and stuff like that, I still want to be around and play rock, you know, play rock music. You know, so I hope that's not, oh, Jesus, now my things. Why didn't I bring down the...
Well, you know what? I think that's about it. If you have anything, you know, Bobby, I appreciate this a ton, and I'm so excited that we've gotten to kind of be pals and know each other over the last couple of months and talking about this. I know Aaron is just as excited, and we hope that on your next U.S. tour, we will come out and see you. If you come through Colorado, we definitely will be there, but we will tour, we will drive to come see you wherever you are that we can get to.
Well, I hope so, man. I love playing Denver. Denver's a great town to play in, man. It's college town.
Yeah, well, and I want to invite you back anytime you want to come on. If you got something to promote or you just want to chew some shit.
I just want to thank you guys, man. I mean, this has been fun, and it's been real loose and easygoing stuff. You know, I can say fuck, shit, piss, cunt, you know, whatever.
Oh, Bobby, I don't know if you saw, if I told you, I got my video from my last show I did. I got taken down for violating Facebook standards. So yeah, I talked a little shit about another magician, and apparently he got a little butthurt about it. So
yeah, but you can curse.
Yeah, I took it a little bit further than that, Bobby.
You went after him, though. You went after him a little on the heavy side, you mean, right?
So, well, you know, I close every show by saying, listen to Bill Hicks, because Bill Hicks is a big deal to me. But guys, go out and check out the Limit, check out Pentagram, check out everything that Bobby's got coming out. Bobby, I can't thank you enough, buddy. Take care. And again, you're in the guys. And if you need anything, reach out. You've got a family here in Colorado that wants you to keep going. So hang in there, buddy. And we'll see you soon.
Okay, you guys take care.